We are the three body narratives, say, and we cover everything to do with games, movies, and TV shows, say. And for today's episode, we're going to be talking about Spider-Noir. And beware, with no power comes no responsibility. So we are not responsible for anything that we say in this particular episode. Well, what is Spider-Noir all about? Well, it follows a washed-up private investigator, Ben Riley, in the 1930s New York, who is drawn and he is drawn into a dangerous mystery that forces him to confront his past as the city's masked vigilante. It is, of course, following from the Spider-Verse, and it's a dark detective-driven take on Spider-Man, blending classic noir storytelling with superhero intrigue. Now, before we get to discussing and rating, even before we start rating uh, the TV show, I want to ask you guys one thing. Did you watch it in black and white or in true hue?
Black and white.
Completely?
Yeah.
Okay. And Aaron?
I watched the whole thing in black and white, but then I did revisit some episodes just to see what the colors and the wardrobe was like. Just wanted to see if they stayed true to the 1930s and how things were back then. So yeah, I did revisit it to see what it was like.
Okay. All right. So I watched, I think there are 8 episodes or whatever. So I watched all of it except for the finale. I watched everything else in black and white, just the finale, because I wanted to see what colors they actually used for each of the characters. So I gave that a go. All right. So we will now move to our ratings for this series. And Aaron, take it away.
Well, one thing was I found like this was something that you needed time if you really wanted to kind of watch and really get into the whole thing. I felt like it was kind of difficult to get into initially. But yeah, I feel like some of the characters eventually kind of grew on you, and then you were like, okay, this is something you could kind of get invested in, or be okay with spending as much time as you needed to, because it is quite a long series if you look at the number of episodes and the time that duration of the episode. So yeah, it's one that I would recommend if you've got time to kind of spare. In terms of the rating, I'd give it a 2.5 because I feel like there's a lot going on, but sometimes to its kind of a fault to itself was that it was kind of a little bit too slow then, because they were trying to elaborate on so many different things. But yeah, in terms of the story, eventually I think it was quite good. There were some really nice characters, and I think the homage to the 1930s New York kind of rung through, and that's something that I enjoyed.
Okay. All right. I'm going to give this a 2.5 as well out of 5. I found it very difficult to get into. It's just so this TV show, or the black and white noir version, reminded me a lot of this movie called The Maltese Falcon, which is like a really old one with Humphrey Bogart, all of it. And that's I relate to it, because it was black and white. That was also black and white and had a detective feel to it, but also because even in that movie, it took me so long to actually like get into the story. The story wise, I felt was quite basic. I wish that there was a lot more detectiveness to it, or a little more pizzazz or element. And honestly, the reason I rate it predominantly, or the reason I've given it 2.5, a large proportion of it is because of Nick Cage, right? Nick Cage is the sort of person that, or kind of actor that you need to have it in brief quantities. So I hadn't watched Nick Cage in a long time. So I know he's done a few movies before and recently, like Long Legs and stuff like that. But like I haven't watched him for a long time. So watching him, be Nick Cage and be wacky and out of Souths and like trying different accents and all of that was a lot of fun. And that's the element that I really like. But yeah, the story was pretty basic. The enemies were very simple. I didn't think they were complex enough. Maybe Cat Hardy was probably the best one, but the others were simple 1930s villains that you'd normally see. So it took me a while to get through it. I had to do multiple repeats to kind of just remember what was happening. But yeah, at the end, I feel like the finale was still fine. I think the payoff was all right. And yeah, overall, it's a one-time watch. Would I go back to it again anytime soon? No, not really.
I will get the rating out of the way first as well.
Yes.
And actually, I feel better that you guys went first because I was feeling shitty to kind of give this a 2.5. I thought I would be on the lower side for this one. So yeah, I thought first, yeah, it's a 2.5 out of 5 for me. I thought the look and feel of the series in itself was pretty awesome. I love the noir essence of it, obviously given by the name noir itself, and I've loved the character ever since it first featured in the Spider-Verse. And I was looking forward to the series. It took me quite some time to get into this series. I loved the detective aspects of it, but I thought there weren't enough of it. And I think the biggest gripe for me with this specific series was that it doesn't go either way. You know, it doesn't go full throttle on Spider-Man. It doesn't go full throttle on the detective side. It's kind of like you don't get enough of either sides of it, and that's where I felt it's like, because if you just look at it as a crime thriller or a detective story in itself, it's very generic. It's nothing new per se, and I think even the mystery in itself kind of dies out very early on, which kind of takes away from the entire story altogether. So that way, I felt like there was a lot of promise initially, but it kind of dies down fairly quickly. I did like the characters, like actually one of the villains. I don't recall what his name is in this series, unfortunately, but the guy who's supposed to be like the electro version of the early 80s, or not 80s, sorry, this is like what, 50s, 60s, 40s, maybe, I don't know. I really liked his acting and his take on that character, and I thought he did a really good job. All the others were Silvermane, and all of that was like your run of the mill schmucks, or whatever you want to call them. But all in all, I think, I mean, Nicolas Cage played a good noir. You can't fault him for the script he's been given. I just thought the script in itself was too generic. I don't know if it's the color that made it difficult for me to get into. I did like the vibe of it, the way they were talking and all of that. There's this sort of campiness to it, which I really kind of enjoyed. Like especially in the first instance that I think of is when the two perpetrators, that is Sandman and the guy who's like extremely built like a tombstone or whatever. They're going at it with the cops, and there's the bugle guy who's taking the pictures. That whole sequence was like, it felt like it was out of comics, in the sense that I could see the pow kind of a thing, and that was really good. Like, so those bits of the series were pretty good to look at. I think it is a decent start to the universe if this has any more seasons to it. But all in all, like, the story in itself was a bit of a lackluster one for me, and I wasn't. Cat Hardy is the lady that's there, right? Like, I wasn't too keen on her storyline. I don't know. Like, I felt like it's been done way too many times before. For me, it was a little more the soldier aspect of it, like the tie-in that they had all together and all of that. That was an interesting storyline. But again, I just thought like the mystery and all just kind of fell away fairly, like, really quickly, and it kind of took away from the series for me. So yeah, 2.5 out of 5. But I mean, if you like Spider-Man, you should definitely give it a watch, I think.
So, I mean, so you've obviously watched it at the Across the Spider-Verse or the Spider-Verse universe, right? That's where we know Noir from. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, after watching this, I was like, was a series required for this character? Right? I mean, all great to watch enough of Nick Cage. Like I'll put my hand up, like great. I mean, I can't get enough of Nick Cage and his wackiness. But was a 8-episode series really required for Spider-Noir?
I mean, if they had done it differently, probably.
Yeah.
Like, if you focused more on the Spider or Nick Cage's character, probably. I felt there was too little of either one, and I think Naeem mentioned that as well. The thing was, you kind of got lost in the story of Cat Hardy, which, to be honest, I don't know if they tried to kind of make it like an emotional thing, but I wasn't sold on it at all. That was so kind of lackluster, and it almost had me kind of given to the urge to skip forward through most of that part. So that was a miss for me. I think Naeem mentioned Megawatt was probably the only villain that was of any sort of entertainment value uh, in terms of the enemies and stuff like that. So that was kind of a weird one because there was so many such big chunks of the series that you were like, do I really want to sit through this? And yeah, it was just weird for that part.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Megawatt. I probably agree with you. I think Megawatt. I don't know what to make of him because he is obviously the more interesting villain, or the villain that's given a lot of scenery to chew on. But my God, after a while, he just became so annoying with all of his extravagance and his, you know, hamminess, I suppose. But I guess that is 1930s in a way. I guess that's the older version.
But it's also like, I mean, in some ways you can see that sort of playing out because it's almost the opposite to like a kid who wants to be a superhero first getting his powers, and this is like the opposite to that, where he's like really sort of dipping into that super villain sort of character or whatever, and which was pretty cool because apparently he was a war veteran. So from defending the country, he's done like a 180 to now terrorizing it. And I mean, so that was kind of an interesting thing. So if that sort of backstory kind of was kind of explained, I'd probably be more invested in the whole love angle that was between Cat Hardy and the Sandman, which again, not much was said, but they tried to make it very significant, which did not make sense to me.
Isn't Cat Hardy like meant to be one of the Spider-Man villains as well? I think isn't she meant to be Black Cat or something like that?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's Felicia Hardy. So I think Cat Hardy could be like
this version's
sort of, yeah.
I think, I mean, obviously it's not Peter Parker, it's Ben Reilly here.
Yeah, Ben Reilly. Yeah.
So so I was expecting more on that to be done on Cat Hardy's side, like a lot more of a femme fatale kind of character, right? Where she eventually betrays Ben Reilly, and there's a lot more complexity to that.
Well, she did
kind of.
No, but it more like in a sort of, intentional, cunning sort of way. This was like she just stumbled her way through
she just like it felt more desperate than it felt more devious, right? And like it just felt like I will do whatever it is to get my Flint Marco back. And honestly, I kind of liked Flint Marco's design a lot better in black and white rather than in the true hue. And honestly, I felt it much better in Spider-Man 3 also. But like when I watched it in the black and white version when he turns into sand. I like the composite and the granite, the sort of color hue on the sand. And I was expecting like when I go to true hue, I'd see like the actual sand, but it just was, I think, gray even there. Like it felt more metallic than it was sand. And again, this is different. This is a different universe. I don't really know what. I mean, the comment section could be hammering us saying, no, this is exactly the kind of sand that is there in this universe.
I think you're okay. The comment section does not spend too much time on us, so it's fine.
Wow. Okay, great. I'm here.
Shots fired.
Yeah, I'm right here to pump up our podcast for sure. All right. So, but I think the one thing we got to like talk a little bit more on is the villain, right? Because every superhero movie, I think, does well based on how good the villains are. Like,
Yeah.
you think of any of the past superhero Marvels or this thing.
I think Iron Man is the only one where you kind of like think that's not true. Like the first Iron Man, that's the exception to the rule, because otherwise you kind of really need the villain to stand out.
Correct.
Otherwise, it kind of really falls apart.
So in more cases, I am the way you look at me like, no, you're wrong. Where? So in more cases than not, I think the more interesting characters are the villains, because there's a lot more complexity that's written in them. I think villains that are given.
That's a hot take, by the way.
No, but if you look at it, I think a lot of the best movies, if you look at DC's,
I think it's a mix of both, right? DC's Dark Knight works because Batman has his own complexity to it, but Joker adds a whole other level to it. But it cannot be that it's just that the villain is such a standout that even if the main character is a sissy, it kind of works out.
No, I agree with that and fair play, but I'm saying that like a lot of the superhero movies that have done well are based on having good villains and
good villains,
and in this case, I feel like I like Silvermane being a villain because he is obviously a mob boss, and it's sort of the discount kingpin, I suppose, right? But my God, they made it so one-dimensional, even with him, with who's that? Flint Marco, I suppose, is a villain, but technically not a villain. And the others. So it felt very like Route One. I was expecting a lot more to it, but it just felt very simple. And for me, that's why I think. But your thoughts on Silvermane as a villain, because I think we've discussed the others.
I think it was like your run-of-the-mill Brit sort of
Irish.
Gang leader or whatever. But I mean, again, the story didn't make sense to me, and you kind of were thinking along the lines of Megawatt, as in like, what does this guy have over any of them for them to be listening to what he has to say? Like,
money.
I mean, they said, I think Flint Marco says like loyalty, but again, I mean, there was nothing to kind of make you understand what he did to earn that sort of loyalty. I mean, you didn't see them sort of like living it up or anything like that way. They were still like living in like some shady ass places and stuff like that way. So you're like, what was he actually getting out of it, or what were they getting out of it to kind of remain loyal? But I think as a character on his own, Silvermane probably had potential, but the story didn't help him at all.
What was his motivation though? To get what? To find out who was going to kill, who was trying to kill him, because that was
to stay in power, right?
He just wanted the power in the city, right? It was like his businesses should run unopposed, and he makes as much money as he wants and run everything else. I think somewhere in one of the episodes he kind of even says that because someone asks him like, what once you have everything, like what is there to fight for? I think it was Cat only, and it was along the lines of just continuing to keep the power that he has and just stay in power rather than anything. So I think that was the motive, but I mean that kind of still fell flat to me when that whole scene played out.
Because I mean, Kingpin to an extent also has a similar motive, which is to remain in power and what he believes to do what he believes is best for New York and stuff like that, for the place that he loves. But there's a lot more complexity in that character as opposed to
Yeah,
this.
exactly. So again, in his flawed way of thinking, it was still about the benefit of the city, right? So that kind of shows you his emotional or mental state, and you kind of see that sort of conflict playing out. But here it was, again, I guess in some ways you can say that's human nature, which was a more selfish sort of aspect to it, where he just wanted power. But again, when you're kind of trying to do a whole storytelling thing, you need to kind of throw some irrational sort of thoughts into it to kind of make it a bit more complex. This wasn't the case.
The
I
one
think in this case, it's also more about what he feels in terms of staying in relevance, in the sense that he feels that everyone thinks that he's gotten so weak over time that he can be pushed over easily, and he kind of wants to prove them wrong that that's not the case. Like he's still as powerful as he was back in the day, and I think that kind of shines through when he's having those conversations with the mayor and the chief of police and kind of a thing, like trying to drive through like where they think things have changed. He's kind of trying to say that you're here because I put you there, and just like you, I'm going to put another person in there, and it's not going to be like that's not a choice that's up to you, it's up to me, kind of a thing. So he's trying to stay in relevance, and he does not like the fact that things have changed so drastically over the years where they feel he's not enough of a threat by himself, kind of a thing. And I think with Sandman in itself, I think the loyalty comes from the concept of acceptance. Whether that is actually true or not is like Silvermane could have easily been just manipulating him in the sense that saying that he's accepting of who he is only from the aspect that he knows that he can use this guy as a weapon, as opposed to actually not being. Because I think Silvermane is one of the few who does not kind of react weirdly to the way he's what's the word, metamorphing or whatever it is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and to that end, he feels like this is probably where I belong, because especially with the way Cat reacts to him changing, and
Like the world will not accept me for who I
exactly,
am.
yeah. So I think that's where the loyalty is from. Basically, I don't think money is a driving factor for Sandman, at least.
Okay. The one character that I really liked but was quite short-lived was Winston. I thought he brought a lot more danger to, and a lot of like, do you not? I can see his eyes moving left and right.
I'm trying to figure out who Winston was.
The guy who got shot up in front of the new. What factory was that?
Oh wait, no, not that.
It's not the fire guy?
Not the fire guy. No, I'm talking about Silvermane's right-hand man, Winston, who he shoots.
Oh yeah, shit, yeah. He
was like, I think he knew what was happening, and he was like, obviously, Ben Reilly finally got the better of him, but I like that threat being there, that he knew what was going on and he was going to get to the bottom of it. And that threat was a lot more threatening, I suppose, than Silvermane himself.
I like that sequence, though.
But the way he got duped also was pretty cool, though.
Yeah, I actually saw it coming in the sense that, okay, I think this is what's happening. He's kind of setting him up with the bills and stuff like that. But even when that eventually happens, I was like, that's pretty cool. Like, that's a nice sequence in terms of how he kind of traps him into that. He kind of saw that happening, and it's all kind of transpired most in like, I think, I don't know if he expected to be caught at the station, but because that would be the only thing, right? Like, why would Cat be at the station? And like, I think he didn't expect Cat to kind of react that way and be off, trying to avoid the whole scene or whatever. And he gets caught in the midst of that, trying to save her. That's probably the only unplanned section of it. And like, otherwise, like, the whole thing of how he gets him trapped into that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Spider-Man. This is, of course, what it is about. Spider-Noir.
That's my biggest gripe. For a series that is Spider-Man, I thought I saw very less of Spider-Man in comparison. Like,
I like the
Nicolas
fact
Cage
that
as the detective
Yeah.
was pretty cool for me.
yeah.
But Nicolas Cage as the Spider-Man,
Dude,
I don't know.
watching
But
him
he is
watching
the
him
same.
run though, but watching him run after the fire, dude, was like hilarious. Like, dude, Nick Cage running is insane. I think the only Spider-Man scene that I really enjoyed was when he, I don't know why he did it, was that when he was getting drunk in the pub, those guys were bad-mouthing Spider-Man. He goes up, puts on the mask, comes back down, like, everyone will know who you are.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
dumbass.
that was
And
pretty stupid.
like,
Okay.
Acha! Yeah.
I like the campy side of this whole series, I
Yeah.
guess, from that.
I do like the fact that the show is about him kind of wanting to get rid of that life of Spider-Man, and because of the heartache and the loss that he's had and that element of it. But at the end of the day, you still need to show enough of both or one side or do something. And it's just like they were sitting on the fence of like, we want Nick Cage to be there, but of course, if we put the mask on, we can't have it be Nick Cage because the guy, I'm sure it's a stunt double or something.
Yeah.
It just can't be him doing that stunt. If it is, I mean, kudos, but he's definitely not swinging and trying to catch Silvermane and all of that. But yeah, the Tai Chi is definitely not with Nick Cage. But yeah, I like that aspect of, I suppose, the war heroes being experimented on, and that being, I thought that could have been the main story, that being the villain, right?
That
The Germans
again,
being the villain.
when that was happening, I was thinking of Noir.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I was like immediately thinking of that sequence, and I'm not going to give any more spoilers away for someone who might not have played the game. But like that's what I was kind of linking it up to, like obviously the time in itself, and both are Noah. So
Yeah.
it's just very kind of I like that aspect of it, but I think they kind of like really they brought that in. They made it seem like really like a very very big this thing, and then they kind of like quickly got done with it. That in itself, like that whole sequence could have easily been the finale had they like made some. Again, I'm not, what do you say, qualified enough to say this, but like if they had made some different creative choices, perhaps it would have been a little more interesting from that aspect. Again, I think we are on the like the other end of the scale. Largely, if you guys see the kind of talk around the show, it's been extremely on the positive side. Like I mean, again, we are still positive, but it's not like we are like
I mean,
extremely
hilariously, that we've been criticizing the show for being on the fence when we've all given it 2.5, right? But I think we're saying from our end, I guess the consensus is that there was potential for it, and for a really good show. But I think with the creative choices were felt a bit disappointing, right?
Tell me this though,
Yeah.
Once you guys switch the colors, right?
Yeah.
Is there any difference in you kind of being how do I say this? More invested
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
in this thing? No, right? It didn't impact. When I was watching the show, I was like, it can't be the color. Like that's not the reason I'm struggling to get into this. I'm sure like that's not the case. But then I was like, maybe I should revisit the show in color, and suddenly maybe it kind of like.
So I like the colors that they've used. It's quite like bright, like in the sense they pop at you, right? Like when they say true hue, it's just not dull colors. They really pop at you. Like some of the walls are green, and like the colors that they wear are very bright and like really colorful, which is nice. And I suppose it's nice to appreciate that. But I, for once, at least watching the finale, it didn't make me feel, oh shit, I should have watched this in color. Like, man, I'm missing out a lot. Or I think, Aaron, you revisited stuff in more, I guess, than I did in color.
Yeah, I mean, you do appreciate like them kind of recreating that time period, but I don't think it is something that you kind of really feel like, oh, you'll miss out if you've not watched it in color. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's a personal preference. Some people probably would like the color better, but to me, I was quite indifferent to it.
Did you name you watched it fully? Did you at any point go like, I wonder what color the suit is going to be, or what color she?
I was interested. So, funny enough, initially I wanted to check out this thing,
Yeah.
the Switch, but Amazon, when it released, had some weird shit going on with it, where it would not allow you to, like, the option would pop up, but you couldn't switch between one or the other. Okay, and I think this was like,
Yeah, you have to watch the episode from the start. You can't do it like mid-episode or something like that.
that
Yeah.
too. But even at the start, right, like when it pops up, initially when the series came out and I was trying to watch it, it wouldn't let me select between option would be there, true hue and black and
Yeah.
white, but I couldn't select one or the other. And if I just press OK, it would automatically just pick black and white and then proceed, right? Even though in the bottom of the screen, the next episode tiles would be all in color. So, and it would say that the device has to be this thing for it to kind of what do you say, for you to have the option to select between
What
one or the other.
device?
So I thought maybe my device is a little too old for this, so I don't get the option to kind of. But I tried on my phone and I tried on the
So-
laptop, and it was like
You have
all
a
my
black and white
devices are too
device?
old.
Yeah, you have a black and white. You've never watched anything color?
No, not that. In the sense that the app on the device should be able to kind of, because of the software, be able to allow you to select. You'll see this on Amazon. It'll tell you that not all devices support this right now, kind of a thing, apparently. Yeah.
Wow.
So it had me thinking my devices were far too old to support this. But again, like I was like, anyway, I was planning on watching it in like the black and white thing. So let me just get done with that. And then eventually that option, I think, became available 2 days later or something. But then I was like, okay, let me finish the series and then I'll go back and kind of see it. But the thing is, like, once I kind of finished the series, I was like, yeah, I was glad I'm done with this series.
Why do you think though? Why do you think they gave the option though? Like, I mean, given that it's Spider-Noir, they could have just.
I read the article, right? It is because Nicolas Cage believes, and I don't know if you read it or not, but
No.
It's like, okay, cool.
I'm smiling because you read an article.
Okay. Oh wow. Oh, you jackass. Right. So apparently Nicolas Cage was of the opinion that in order to get the newer generation to kind of enjoy this, it would be important to get it in color for them to understand the scenarios and like how this is. And eventually maybe they might want to also just look at it from a black and white angle. And maybe that would push them to kind of then be like, okay, maybe I should now watch the older movies because there are some really good ones.
Yeah.
And it would help ease them into all of that kind of a thing. So that was the idea behind it, which
Smart
I think
man.
is true.
Not bad. It's a case of nepotism working. But yeah, it's a good thing. Yeah, so what else are we there? I guess we got to talk about Robert Robertson, the reporter.
Yeah, I actually, Robert Robertson to me is Winston from Winston, right? From New Girl, a New Girl.
I have no, but I'm guessing. I'm not watching it. But yeah, I know New Girl. I think he's there in that, but I've not watched it.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, there's Winston from New Girl, kind of a thing. So I was like, I was pretty like. For me, it was Winston in this role, kind of a thing, because it felt very much similar to the kind of person he is in that as well. A little more serious than he is in that series. But yeah, like I really liked his character in the sense that he was there to support, especially the part where he becomes the Spider-Man. And he's like trying to get one over Silvermane. That was pretty cool to kind of see.
I'm surprised that the drug didn't do anything to him when Megawatt.
Yeah, I was worried too.
I was like, this guy's gonna turn into something rather than Like, how much worse could it be? Like, you're
I mean,
already
you
at
never
normal.
know. It could take time. It could take time. Maybe in the second season, that has some sort of impact.
Is he meant to be a character or
He's
something?
got-
You never know. I don't know much about Robert Robertson.
No, not. I don't think so. But
Yeah, it was it was interesting. I think obviously he showed a lot of gusto and a lot of curiosity that a reporter needs to have, and but yeah, I felt more often than not he ended up in places where he probably shouldn't have been, could have easily been.
but yeah,
I love the fact that there are cops fighting behind him. I think that was when Silvermane was supposed to be caught, and then they're like cops shooting behind him, and this guy's on the phone like, "You screwed up, dude."
what was his name again? Rob Robertson.
Robert Robertson or something, I think.
Robert Robertson. Okay, so it's like from this one, right? What's the game we played? Where
Oh,
he was
is it
also
Dispatch?
Dispatch. Yeah,
But is it actually? I don't know. I feel like Robbie Robertson.
yeah,
But
something like that it was.
yeah,
Like, along the same lines. But also, I
Robert
think it's also an homage to this one, right?
Dispatch.
J.
J.
Jonah
Jonah. Yeah,
Jameson.
Jameson. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I guess because he, at the end of the day, I think at the end of the series, owns a newspaper now.
yeah, I think that's what I gauged from
Yeah.
that.
This also gave me, I think, towards the end, a bit of Jessica Jones vibe with the investigation agency thing. When they've got the agency, right? The I don't know what it's called, Riley and Rui's agents investigations or whatever. But
by the way, his secretary was pretty awesome. I love the scenes she was in, and that kid too that was there for a couple of, like, those bits were really fun. And even the way she kind of like is harassed by those two people and still chooses to kind of stay, like, in the immediate aftermath she wants to leave, but then decides to kind of stay and support. Like, through and through, she actually genuinely cared about who he was. But my most favorite sequence was when she sees him as Spider-Man, and, and then he's like,
Spider.
yeah, it's not the first time it's happened, kind of a thing. So that whole sequence of seeing that happen over and over was pretty cool.
Yeah. But that's why I love the parts where they just let Nick Cage be Nick Cage, because I mean it's hilarious. Like, you get comedy gold with that guy, and but yeah, I Spider, and him sitting on the chair like that, reading the newspaper.
Nick Cage is also the same person who's voiced him in Spider-Verse, right?
Yeah, I think that's why they did it, because I think during those animated movies, everybody was like, "Oh, Nick Cage is doing Spider-Noir," and oh my god, there's like everybody loves Nick Cage, I guess.
I would think that maybe I would have enjoyed the animated version of this a little more than I did the actual live action. Again, it's like not bad whatsoever. I think it's just with the Spider-Man, there's a lot more to do. In terms of, and again, you can have Spider-Man be more Spider-Man for the longest time. I think that's where it works the best in
but I guess it takes a lot longer to do the animation than it does to just shoot a live action.
That is true.
Yeah. I do love I do love his costume though. The lighting on his eyes.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. See, again, I think I questioned why they have a series, and honestly, that's more down to the story. But I really was intrigued with the fact that they were making a 1930s noir detective show based on Spider-Man. But it just so happened that the story was a bit disappointing. But honestly, we all love detective mystery movies and shows and games, so it would have been fun to kind of have that. I wish they could come up with like a more detective focused Spider-Man game, Spider-Noir game. It would have been fun, based in the 1930s. Something like that would have been fun to do. But yeah, I think anything else that we're missing out in terms of the story? I guess the two doctors who were I think the one guy who had powers that were aging him rapidly, and the one who tried to find a cure, right? So again, it ties down to, I think we could have had a lot more on that entire story of him going to that place, rescuing all of these veterans, the whole experimentation. I think that could have been a lot more darker, a lot more intriguing, and I think would have set up. I think that would have been a lot more. What do I say? Appropriate for that time also. 1930s, you're going through depression, the Great Depression. You're going through wars and stuff like that. Rather than have it be a sort of love story, love triangle story.
The way he gets his powers though was freaking crazy.
Oh, yeah, that spider.
Of all the Spider-Man, the way of all the Peter Parkers and what's his name, Miles Morales, the way they get their powers, this was like freaking creepy in terms of how he gets. Because the first moment I saw the other half, I was like taken aback to the 90s animated version where Spider-Man is mutating into an actual spider. And that was the first thing that came into my head. I was like, oh shit, like this is crazy, and it's like so weird because it's like
so he opens the bedsheet, and it's what, like the entire torso plus leg is like a massive spider, right?
And his head also has got all his eyes and stuff.
Yeah,
it's the one half, right? That's kind of like.
But that spider is so big, it kind of enveloped almost. But yeah, I'm guessing just one half was.
I think so.
Yeah. I love the fact whenever Spider-Noir or Spider-Man was like knocked out or whatever,
I swear, I was wondering if he's actually like, it's that the mutation has not completed and it's like much slower in his case as opposed to, and I was also worried that when she extracts the blood and starts putting it into this thing, what if it kind of turns them into actual like spiders like the other cases, right? Like that kind of a thing. So yeah, but they went the other route, which is like you need to take it from the organ or whatever to kind of be able to get the cure.
But what do you think about the endings for the villains, right? And I guess, I mean, Flint Marco obviously gets injected and he, I think, turns normal. So I guess there's no more Sandman there. Silvermane gets shot. Megawatt gets thrown in front of a train. Yeah.
He'll live on. If there is a second. Yeah, for sure. I would think he'll be back stronger in season 2 if he's.
Why do you think? I mean, he's not invincible, right?
But I think because of the whole electric aspect of it, he could have easily kind of just discharged and then.
Oh. I think that's what happens with Electro or something somewhere.
Electro is like that, yeah.
Like that, yeah. Right.
He's able to.
So
you kind of see it in this thing also, I think.
It's one of the Spider-Mans had
Spider-Man
2.
I think.
Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah.
The one,
the one where she dies.
Spoiler alert. But yeah, so that was the. Oh my god, the way Tombstone loses his power, man. The fact that they jab the syringe right in his eye.
You know what's this thing? I was like, dude, after you jab that into him, he's gonna turn human. What about his eyes then?
So I think he takes it out quickly. So it's not like it's stuck there. I think so. He just pulls it out before he turns human so that it doesn't hurt him.
I recall it being stuck there for some time.
I mean, I don't remember him taking out the syringe, but I'm like, either way, right? If it was a part of you that could be injured while you were superhero, then what happens later?
Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah. But that. So yeah. No, but okay. So we discussed that. What was Silvermane and Silvermane ending?
I don't know, man. The whole thing with
shot by Kat Hardy.
I was not, like I said, that whole storyline to me was bleh. kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
it didn't like I did not feel any emotional thing there whatsoever.
Oh yeah.
In the end, I was just wondering how many bullets were there in that bloody gun.
I swear,
But,
I
yeah,
thought
I
that
was
was this thing. I
That
thought
she'll
like
not.
Silvermane knew that she didn't have any bullets left, and probably that's where this whole thing is gonna go. But no, it ended, and he's like, "I always wanted it to be you," or something like that.
Yeah,
And
I'm glad it was you or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad it was your way. Like, I'm like, blah, but dude, go, give me something else, please.
Fair.
But actually, no, it was like, thank God this is over. It's over.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the way the story was, it was only right that it was Cat Hardy, but yeah, I didn't feel anything. Not like I felt sorry for anyone or like, oh, thank God. But yeah, I guess no word as yet whether there's a series 2 or season 2 or whatever. Right?
No, but I think considering the positive response they've got for it, unless the numbers don't match up to the response they've received from critics, then I guess only then it gets kind of doesn't have a follow up. But otherwise, most likely, the only problem is when you have these kind of series, it's like it takes so long to develop them. It's gonna take another 4 years, I think, before he comes back onto the screen.
But I think with Nick Cage, you probably need that time. You don't want to have Nick Cage every year. Have to be like
Every year is fine, like, but every 2 years, I
years,
think
yeah.
make, because if you're doing at least 3, and I would think this would be a 3-parter.
Yeah, let's hear everything for you is a 3-part. So let's hear what your 3-parter is for this.
No, I mean, like in this case, there would have to be a slight. I don't know the actual this thing, but at some point, I would expect the what is that? The guy you see in the animated version, the one who flies and stuff. The one who gets him to the other universe.
Right. Okay. I think
I don't remember what he's called in that, but like Hawkman or something, like the guy who can fly.
Okay.
Or he could also be the goblin or whatever in his this thing. He eventually gets into that. So I would think he would be there at some point, and probably the second one would be around that. And maybe like you've got a Sinister Six sitting at the end with this one making a comeback, Electro being Mega Water, whatever. And then along with them a couple more villains here and there. And maybe Sandman.
That would be a cool name, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Sandman, probably this thing turns out that it was also all a farce. This thing is only temporary. It does not kind of. So the Sandman is like now suddenly mutated into a complete sand this thing as opposed to being a human and sand thing, and then he wants revenge for that kind of thing. So you're like got like all shitty people thrown in together kind of a thing, and yeah, throw in Doc Ock there in there somehow. I don't know how they manage the tentacles in there in that timeline, but
no, they'll manage somehow. There'll probably be actual tentacles. Some octopus.
Mutation.
Some
he was another one of the war veterans
with half an octopus here. Yeah. All right. So I guess that's all that we've got to discuss with Spider-Noir. I think we've covered almost every aspect, right?
Yeah.
Time now to grab a hot dog and say goodbye. And I guess don't forget to hit the like button, share with friends and family, follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, we do daily games and uploads as well. So catch us on that as well. And we will catch you all on our next episode. Until then, swing away. Bye-bye.